Hi and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Encephalitis Society for inviting me up here and down here to share our story about our Stevie. My name is Bobby Lavinia. I've got an identical twin brother called Steve. We're 59 years old. We're going to be 59 on the 18th of November next month. We're from Forest Gate in East London. We come from a family of love. Our family is built on a foundation of love. From a Catholic background, we're 2 of 8 siblings, 5 boys and 3 girls. I'm married with 3 children. My wife Sylma is out there in the audience. Steve is also married with 3 children. His wife Julie is also there in the audience. I believe and I know that me and my brother Steve are the definition of identical twins. From birth, we've done everything together. We left school at 16 in 1980. I became a gas engineer for British Gas. Wasn't my choice, I just fell into it. And Steve went into retail for the love of clothes and everything. But from a young age, having older siblings, we both had a big love and passion for music, especially soul music. And we'd be out in the clubs and buying records on a weekly basis. In 1984, we must have been about 2021, our local pub that we used to go to in Forest Gate, East London, called Simpson's, got refurbished. We got to know the manager really well. So on our way out to the nightclub, we would stop there and have drinks, and he just got refurbished. We said, Jim, you need to get a DJ in here and make some money. This place is being wasted. Without a second of that, he turned around, he knew we was into music. He said, why don't you guys do it? Me and my brother looked at each other and just said, let's do it. Never DJ'd before, never promoted anything, but I suppose it was the confidence and where we just thought, let's do it. We was pretty known in the area. We had a big family and stuff. 7 days later, the next day, Saturday morning, we woke up, got some A4 paper, made flyers, 6 out of them, gave them out in the area. 7 days later, we became DJs and promoters, and the place was packed with 250 people. Don't ask me how that happened, but that's what happened. So we fell into the music industry like that. And I'm proud to stand up here and say 38 years later, we're still doing it. Okay, we've been on Kiss FM in London. We've travelled the world as international DJs. I'm still carrying on doing it. Wasn't going to, because when you hear the story, I'll explain it all. But yeah, that was the beginning of us still being together, entwined, even leaving school and being together. So that was 1984. 6 years later, in 1990, we was on Kiss FM when it was illegal, Kiss FM from London. Kiss FM got a legal licence, and we thought, let's give up our jobs and do this full time. So we became full-time radio and international DJs, playing our soulful house and disco sound. Like I said, we've enjoyed 38 years of doing what we do. Fast forward all of that music career to March, the 7th of March 2020. We just recorded an album, me and my brother. We'd never done an artist album before because we produce music as well. Done an album because the clock's ticking, we're getting older, right? We thought, let's do something, do an album. So we just started a 16-date tour. First stop was Madrid in Spain. This was the 7th of March 2020. And this was 2 weeks before the UK went into lockdown. We went there on a Saturday, returned on the 8th of March, on a Sunday. On the Monday, we had a conference call. I live in East London. Steve and Julie live in Crawley, near Gatwick Airport. And me, Steve, and another our business partner was having a phone call, business call. I started losing my breath, talking and just losing my breath. What's going on here? But then I was fine. 10 minutes later, Steve would do the same thing. In an hour, maybe 10 times that happened between both of us. So we thought, we've caught something here. We knew it was COVID or something. 10 days later, after that, I got worse with a temperature of 39, 40 degrees. I was in my bed for 4 days, can't remember nothing. My wife took me to our local hospital. 5 hours later I can't remember walking into the hospital. I remember seeing the sign and that's it. 5 hours later, I was told that they put me in an induced coma and I was on a ventilator. I was in hospital for 14 days. 2 days before I was discharged, on the 12th day, my wife called me because I was now in a ward out of ICU, and my wife said, oh, Julie's taken Steve to hospital because he's got worse now. And I was in a coma when lockdown happened on the 23rd. So I was in a coma, so the only person I could reference to what went on was myself. So I said, Steve's going to be fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've been here 2 weeks and like, we're identical twins, right? So I said he's going to be fine. That was it. 21 days later, Steve was still in a coma. 21 days, they took him out of the induced coma. And even though I'm getting emotional here, I really come with a powerful message, I hope, all right, of love and everything else, because, yeah, that's what I really tried to bring. So I'm not saying excuse this, it's all good. They took him out of the induced coma. He opened his eyes, and he wasn't like myself. Follow your finger, tracking, I'd done that. He didn't. Squeeze your finger, I did. He didn't. So they left it. I think the next day he wasn't doing it again. So that led them to do a CT scan and an MRI scan. So that's when Julie got a phone call to say you need to come in because it's not looking good. So then I went the next day and they showed us the scans and they said he's been diagnosed with acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. I can roll it off the tongue now. Then it was like, what? Do you know what I mean? And they was in shock more than what we was, because they couldn't understand why he got this. Steve was in a better starting position than I was. You know, genetically we're both the same. I can't remember going into the hospital. Steve was sitting in A&E with his wife for half an hour, 45 minutes, talking before they put him in. The only difference was the 21 days. And I'm not here to say, oh, he's at the ventilator. I'm not here for that. We're not even about that. What's done is done. We have to move forward and do what we have to do. He's got diagnosed with acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis, which has left Steve in a prolonged disorder of consciousness. He also had 2 rounds of CPR. All his organs were shutting down in these 21 days. He had 2 rounds of CPR as well. Again, was it the CPR? Whatever. They said it was because the virus, COVID, had got into his nervous system and inflamed the brain. So we was trying to get our head around what's going on. And as soon as they told us this is what's happened, and they couldn't really explain it to us, why, and we said, well, what's the future? Now, these are not neurological consultants. They was just the doctors they had a little bit of awareness. And he said, well, and I think they was being generous when they said that, maybe 10% of people come through this, because we don't know, how bad is what you've just said. And they said it's very, very rare. So, 2.5 years later, Steve is still in the same condition, but Steve was in the first hospital, which is just a general hospital, for 3 months, and then he got moved to the Royal London, the Royal Neurological Hospital in Putney, West London, where you go for assessment. He was there for 4 months, and then he is now, for nearly 2 years, November, he's in Hazelmere, Holy Cross in Hazelmere, which is a neurological care home, which is an amazing place. It's really, really good where he is there. But there's just, for us, it has been, like everyone, it's been challenging because we're new to this, and after looking at stuff, we know that encephalitis you can live with encephalitis and still communicate on that. And I want to thank John Ainsley for that, because I spoke to John, I reached out to the Encephalitis Society to find out more about it, and saw there was a connect thing, and you can connect with other people with a similar thing. It took him a while to find anyone who had that diagnosis, which is so rare, which what Steve got. We was thankful to connect with someone who was in Mumbai, in India, and we have been having little chats. Her son called it from something else, so we're very grateful for the Encephalitis Society for helping out and putting us in the direction for that. In June 2021, Steve had his first home visit, because where he is, they allow you to go home for 3 hours. He's only allowed out of the chair, because he can't move his body, he can't talk, he can't communicate or do anything. He's being fed with a peg in his stomach to feed. But he's allowed. They said, he can come home. So we thought, okay, great. So in June last year, Steve came home for his first home visit. And because of the diagnosis, Steve has spasms, and he tenses up and he rocks. To put light on the situation like that, because we're in the music business and we like music, we say Steve's having a dance, right? Oh, Steve, you're having a dance. So he would do that maybe 3 times in an hour. But when he came home on that first visit, he didn't have one spasm in 3 hours. And we saw a glow in Steve, and we just thought, you need to be home. Even though he cannot communicate, he's in there, he's inside. Do you know what I mean? And It's that positivity that's giving us the positive. We know he's inside, like trapped in your body syndrome or whatever it is. But anyway, at that home visit in the lounge, quite a big lounge. So Steve's sitting in the wheelchair. My mum's on this side. We're Catholic. She's doing the rosary, praying. She's looking side on to Steve, and we're all the other side. The atmosphere was really uplifting. And then my mum goes, oh my God. We thought something was wrong. We've turned around. Steve, which he hadn't done before, moved his head and was staring at my mum. So that was so powerful. It's like, you are there. So what happened was that just led us, because we've had a lot of DJs throughout the years because we put on events who we've employed to play our parties throughout this 38-year career. Big international DJs saying, we want to do something. What can we do to help you guys? You've done so much. And I was a bit of a proud man and not saying, no, I don't want to take anything. I don't want to, it's all right, we got this. But then when we saw that, we thought Steve needs to be home. So I said, it's a win-win. Let's do a big dance event. Ministry of Sound in London, which is a well-known club, we hired that, sold 2,000 tickets. We thought, you want to give something back, we need money to get the house renovated, a wet room and stuff, and bedroom. And so that's what we did. We started a night called Dance for Stevie. We've done a few promotions so far, and we've nearly raised all the money there for the home. We've just got the plans a couple of weeks ago. It's come through, so we're grateful we've got that through. And we're going to start building maybe March next year. So Steve will be coming home just, weekends first, not to put too much pressure on Judy, because I know it's a big thing for the care aspect on that as well, because she works full time. But we've done loads of fundraising in that side of it. We've done comedy nights, Laugh for Stevie. People have really come together, which is really, really beautiful to see. People that we don't even know as well, doing mountain climbs, doing loads of marathons and donating money. We've started a GoFundMe page. So this is all in honour for Steve, to get Steve back home. And as I stand here, honestly, something great is going to come out of this, okay, with my brother Steve, because I just feel it. And when we're with him, we know. On this journey, for the last 2.5 years, Steve was highly medicated with, to keep his muscle tone and everything intact. But obviously, for those who know about, so I won't mention the medications. Some of it was really high. And we saw Steve drowsy a lot of times. So we'd visit him for 3 hours. And in that time, maybe 2 hours and 2.5 hours, he might be up. But then after a while, he was just sleeping for 3 hours all the time and drowsiness. Anyway, we started asking, can we reduce the meds 6 months ago? In the last 3 months, because it takes time to come out your system, I'm really happy to say that for us, it's a major thing. Where if Steve's sleeping now, when we walk into the room, we video when we're walking in, and we don't touch him physically. We say, Steve, it's Bobby or it's Judy. And then within 30 seconds, he opens his eyes slowly. And then he makes a because he wasn't making noise before. Now, come on. Yeah, the care sector don't say that's a response to doing it, but we know what's going on. So on that side of it, we're really happy. We're happy to say that, moving forward, we know there's going to be a good progression with Steve. Is Steve going to come back all singing and dancing? I don't know. When I hear him, most probably will. But so long as we can get Stevie back to a communication side, which I know is going to happen, it's going to happen like that. Do you know what? For those who don't know me, I like to talk, and I did make loads of notes, and I've gone off of these notes, but I did tell my wife, because I want to talk, I like to talk from the heart. And reading it sometimes is not going to do justice what I need to explain. So I hope you can understand and see where I'm going with it and what I've been saying. Also in that time, in the first year, because we've got connections, and we had a friend who had a connection with ITV, with Good Morning Britain, for those who know about Kate Galway's husband, who's going through it. So we reached out to the Good Morning team, and thank the Lord, we was blessed to go on Good Morning Britain. It was important for us because we wanted to tell the story of Steve's story. We wanted to raise the awareness of encephalitis as well, because that's what Steve's got. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I've never heard it. Why would I hear it if I don't know anyone with a brain injury? So the door was open for us to go on Good Morning Britain, and we've been on it twice now. We're talking about it. We've been on Kate Galway's documentaries, both of them. BBC have reached out. I've been on loads of documentaries. Not for fame or nothing. It's not about that. To spread the word, to let people know what's going on with Steve, because I know it's a rare diagnosis what he's got, and to let people know about encephalitis. Also, I've started the Bobby and Steve Foundation because I just feel a major calling and a purpose to give back. So we've started the Bobby and Steve Foundation, which should be launched at the end of December, middle of December. Main purpose for Steve, but also other people with neurological needs. And I've also reached out to the Encephalitis Society to see if we can get a connection there. Because for us as well, navigating through this from the beginning, even the social care was just, no one knew what was going on. We speak to some people at the top at one of the first places, and we was wrong, wrongly advised. You can get this, you can't get this. So all them things, it's not just financial what we're doing at the foundation. It's just to give people knowledge as well and help out. I don't know if I've missed anything out, but what I'll say, Steve's case is very rare. So if anyone knows any consultants or anyone around the world who's watching this, we are happy for Steve to be listed on any clinical trial there is to improve his situation. I think that's it. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to hearing other people's stories.